Welcome back to Evil Kitty Presents. So, welcome to episode 3. For those of you who stuck through the first 2, you probably need therapy, but I appreciate your support and I'm glad to have you back. For anybody checking out the channel for the first time, welcome. This is episode 3, so that means it's time to put up or shut up. It's time to step up my game, get a little more production value, because you guys deserve the very best for your free internet content. So we're going to do something a little different today, and rather than go through licks of songs that I've had the pleasure of co-writing, today we're going to go over the guitarist's secret weapon. No, not that kind of weapon. That'd be crazy. So, I once read that a guitarist's secret weapon is actually their music collection. It's so important for songwriters or guitarists to listen to all different kinds of music and to experience different tones and different riffs and different genres to help fertilize the brain, fertilize the mind, to help bring out the inspiration inside of you. And we talked about that last episode, how I used inspiration from Sixpence None the Richer, from Coheed and Cambria, Steve Vai, and Randy Rhoads, all in one song. So again, the more you expose yourself to, the better. You're going to want to go down to the description on this episode, because I'm going to have a lot of links and a lot of other stuff down there that we'll talk about throughout this episode, so that you can even get more content and enhance your viewing experience to this episode. So, without further ado, let's jump into the first band and the first album we're going to cover. Everybody wants a mother and a father. Everybody needs a sister and a brother. I'm a winner, I'm a loser, I'm a number. I got a situation pending. It's all an illusion, 'cause that's what you said. It's part of the process. I'm starting to fuse them. I'm wise on the topic of constant confusion. I love you, then I hate you, then I love you again. How'd I get up here? I always thought I'd end up way down there. Only where would I stop to even care? Oh, 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 All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Of course, aside from the singing, we've already covered that singing is not my strong point. I know Phil and Ninette are big social media users, so maybe they'll get to see a clip of it and get to comment below and give their thoughts on my quick cover of their huge hit. For those of you who don't recognize it, that song was called Up Here. It was by the band Powder, and it was from their album Sonic Machine, released in 2002. Yes, you're going to notice I'm holding notes today because we have a lot to cover and I don't want to miss anything. So let's talk a little bit about Powder. Powder is a Los Angeles-based band that never really broke through to the national mainstream, which really surprises me because, in my opinion, they had all the elements of a great national/international radio hit commercial success band. But for some reason, they never broke through. The particular song that I did my version of was released with a produced music video. And I'm going to put a link in the description to that video. It's a really fun watch. It features Frank Zappa's son Amit and Jason Mewes from the Kevin Smith movie world playing criminals who are challenged by the band playing superhero personas. It's a really fun video. And again, it's a really great song. Suggest you go take a quick click and watch it. So why do I think Powder had all the elements of a great band? Well, let's go through the list. Number 1, amazing guitar player. Well, the guitarist in that band is Phil X. For those of you who don't know Phil X is a Canadian. He started off by playing and recording and touring in a famous band from Canada called Triumph. After Triumph toured, I believe they toured America. I'm not 100% sure. Phil, if you're watching, Phil in the comments, let me know what the Triumph tour was like. But he ended up relocating to Los Angeles, California, where he worked as a kind of odd jobs kind of handyman, but also tried to get as much session work as a guitar player as he can. And he was really successful in the session playing. He's actually featured in a documentary that's currently on Netflix called Hired Gun. Even if you're not a guitar player or a musician, it's a great watch. And it shows you how these players who most people have never heard of appeared on a ton and ton of records. So what records did he appear on, and do you know any of them? Well, let's take a look. Ever hear of Alice Cooper? How about Rob Zombie? Maybe Avril Lavigne? Tommy Lee and his band Methods of Mayhem? Kelly Clarkson? Daughtry? Hailstorm? Chris Cornell? Adam Lambert? And Andrew W.K., among others. Little diversion, if you're big fans of Andrew W.K., my brother, who is a video editor, hosts his own show on YouTube called the AWK Files, which goes over everything Andrew WK. Currently going over all his new videos coming out this year, breaking it down frame by frame, discussing what all the hidden messages might mean, but also going through Andrew's history. So it's a fun watch, and I'll link a description to that below too, so you can check out the AWK Files. And highly recommend that. But again, it's my brother, and maybe I'm partial, but I think it's a great show. Hopefully you guys will love it too. So back to Phil X. So he's doing all these guitar sessions and making a name for himself. Well, that brings up the number 2 thing that makes a great band, and that's a great front person. Name a great band or artist that doesn't have a great front person. You know, you can get into the debate on whether David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar, who's the better singer, but it's undeniable how great of a front person David Lee Roth was. Rolling Stones, Queen, the Beatles. I mean, you can go through any great band, great singer. Well, Powder had Ninette Terhart, or Ninette Hart, who's interesting, also Canadian. I believe she had some dance single in Canada before she came to America, also relocated to Los Angeles and ended up hooking up with Phil X. What do I mean by hooked up? I mean almost in every sense of the word, because personally they hooked up and ended up being married at one point. And of course, professionally, they hooked up and created the band Powder. But if you look at Ninette, she had the look, she had the energy, and of course she had the voice. So she was the perfect front person for this band. I believe she had studied opera or wanted to be an opera singer. And you can really hear that in her singing. She has a really strong, really powerful voice. The last element of a great band, well, aside from good songs, which they had, is being able to play live. They were an incredible live band. I'm going to leave another link to the descriptions below of a clip from them playing the Key Club in Los Angeles, so you can kind of see or get a sense of what their live show was like. I've only been able to see it from videos. I never got a chance to see them because they pretty much only played in Los Angeles, and I was living in New York at the time. I do believe they played one show outside of Los Angeles, and I believe it was Minnesota of all places. Again, if anybody wants to fact check me on that, leave it in the comments. but I never got to see them other than the video. But if you see the video, you'll get a sense of what they did. Aside from the energy of the band themselves, they used circus type performers, men on stilts. They had jugglers. They had aerial acrobats. They had pole dancing. It was quite the show. I remember at one point going on their website looking for their merch, and they had listed live DVD coming soon. I don't think it was ever released. I don't think it was ever finished. So Ninette or Phil, if you're watching this again, I'm going to leave a link below to my brother's business page. He's the head of Von Esper Studios. He's big on video editing. As a matter of fact, he was a editor on a live DVD for another band that actually went #1 on the charts for a period of time. So he's legit. He's the real deal. Anybody else interested in video production, you're also free to contact him. But I know he's also a massive Powder fan, and I know if given the opportunity, it would be a labor of love. So if you still have the video and audio files, I know there's probably an audience that would still love to see what a live Powder show is like if they didn't get to see them themselves. So highly recommend you go down and contact so that we can get Powder back in the mainstream and back into people's lives. So back to the album itself. From what I've read, it was co-produced with a member of Republica, who, if you remember, had that big hit back in the 90s, Ready to Go. And it kind of has that same vibe, although I think Powder even has a bigger sound than Republica did. And the whole album, top to bottom, is crazy. From the single Up in Here to Go, or Losing You, or the title track itself, Sonic Machine, it's a great, great album. Part of the single Up in Here, Phil used some weird guitar techniques, not your typical guitar playing, to get these cool harmonic rhythm. And I'm going to put another link in the description below where he talks about recording with Alice Cooper on the album Brutal Planet and how he reused that same technique as well as some other crazy techniques on that album that just blew the producer away. And at one point, meeting Alice couldn't stop talking about him, how the producer just raved and raved and raved about Phil and the crazy stuff Phil did on a guitar. So again, more content for you to check out, but great album, top to bottom, worth a listen. Every song is worth the time to listen to. So after 2 albums, unfortunately, the band ended up splitting up. I believe Ninette went into voiceover work and, believe it or not, bodybuilding. Obviously, loved the physicality of what she does. Phil went on to be on a YouTube channel and got quite famous. For any guitar nerds out there, look up the show Fretted Americana. I believe it has a new host now, but the original episodes were with Phil, where he was in a music store and he would play vintage guitars, play a bunch of songs on the guitar, talk about the history, the feel, and you really see Phil's personality. And Phil's a maniac, but in the best way possible. He's so charismatic, and of course you'll also get to see his incredible guitar playing and singing. Unlike me, Phil can actually sing. So that show led to a producer who was also a fan of vintage guitars becoming a fan, and when one of his main acts suddenly needed a guitar player, he called Phil on the strength of his YouTube channel. And that little known band was Bon Jovi. And Phil X is currently the lead guitarist, replacing Richie Sambora for Bon Jovi. I'm going to apologize and not blame Phil for the last 2 albums. They're definitely John Bon Jovi projects that Phil plays on. Since Richie left, I feel like Bon Jovi really lost that big rock vibe and went to a more country or folk type sound. Maybe it's time to let Phil take control and write some of the music so that we can get back to a good Bon Jovi sound. The other band Phil plays in right now is his own trio called Phil X and the Drills. Another band for you to check out now. That's a lot more high energy. That's Phil singing and playing guitar, and I've heard the live shows for that are also quite chaotic and great. So that's Powder, Sonic Machine. check it out if you haven't already. And once you do, leave in the comments what you thought about it. And that's all I have for you this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Once again, if you're a local band, remember to put your links down below because we do want to expose local music in the comments here and hopefully get you some likes and new listeners as well. Support the local music scene. Always big on this channel. Hope you enjoyed Powder. Hope you enjoyed my rendition of their song Up Here. And until we meet again, rock on.